Welcome to the Good Morning Africa show on Housing TV Africa. What a great day to start your morning. Today on the show, our discussion will be centered on the seized 753 units of duplexes in Lokogoma area of Abuja by the Economic Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. An expert will be speaking to us on the matter at hand. I am Yumina Bagudu. I Can Make It is on standby after this short break. Stay tuned.
All right, you are welcome. This is Simon and Samantha say you can make it. I love you and thank you for always tuning into this program. And I want to let you know that God has a plan for your life. And I tell you, life will not give you what you deserve. Life will give you what you demand. You can make it today. Well, I started, if you have been following us, I started a long time and we're talking about life can only be understood backward but must believe forward. And one of the things I was talking about, the things we need to learn, with things we need to learn. And if you learn them, apply them, you will get the best of life. It was Isaac Newton that said, if I have seen above, it by shining on the shoulder of them that have gone ahead of me. You learn. Every day we learn from different things. So even spending time and you are looking at us on this broadcast tonight or today, you are learning. And I tell you something, we must just learn in life if we want to have the best of life. The next thing I will be sharing with you in this aspect of learning that we have taken upon ourselves to share with us, learn that is not, the one I want to talk about today is that learn that you should learn to depend upon your own life. Don't wish to be like other people. Life is not competition. Like I said, life is turn by turn. Just know that it will get to your turn. It doesn't matter what is happening. God will get to your turn. And there's a place that said it will overturn and overturn until you come to the one which right it is. It will overturn it. Now, another thing I want us to learn, you should learn to not to depend on other people. Always learn to be self-dependent. Many times, a lot of disappointment comes from where you put your trust in people. A lot of people have often complained, oh, you thought this one will do. You are always thinking that this one will do for you. No, you just learn to be self-sufficient. Learn to be dependent on yourself. Trust God with what you have. Yes, people can help you, but don't put your hope in humans. They that trust them, those that put their trust in men, we habit the pasture in the wilderness. They will not see when good cometh. So don't put your confidence in man. Believe men, but don't put your confidence in him. Because the people you actually trust can forget. They can actually forget you. I remember there's this young man many years ago that was interpreting dream, and he interpreted the dream of this man, and God helped the man, and the man was out of prison. But when the man has left, he forgot. Men will always forget. Men will forget. How many times God will set them up to also forget? Because you put your trust in man, you will get offended. They will forget. So it is also God that make them remember. So the best thing is to trust God. Believe man, trust God. Don't forget what I'm saying. Believe in man, but put your trust in God. If you put your trust in God, God is the only one that will not disappoint you. Always have to stand. Don't be, don't always have to stand on what you believe and just continue. And I tell you, you will not be disappointed. Learn to be content with what you have. Learn to be content with what you have. It is said that godliness with contentment is great gain. Learn to be content with what you have. Contentment will make you get the best. Aspire for a greater thing, but be content with what you have. Be happy. Thank God for what you have. A lot of people today, they are not grateful because they are always looking at other people. Oh, this person have just done this. Oh, this person have just done this. But what about the things that God is doing with your life? Learn to be content. Learn to talk to yourself. Learn to thank God about what God has made available for you. Learn to appreciate him for the things that he has done in your life. Learn to appreciate him for the children you have. This same thing that you have that you are not happy about is what somebody is believing God for and trusting God for. For example, there are people today, they are not married, but you that are married, you don't have value for your marriage. There are people today, they are married, but they don't have children. But some have children, they neglect their children. You can see our children on our streets holding some plate and begging. Now, these are same people, they are paying huge amount of money for IVF so that they can have a child. Learn to appreciate what you have. But when you constantly look out and you are not appreciating of what you have, you will neglect, and at the end of the day, it will lead to regret. Learn to appreciate, be content with such as you have. Learn that everybody is equal. Don't wish to be like other people. God does not make mistake in creating you. Listen to me. Don't bother to begin to look like, want to be like this, you want to be like that. No. Want to be all that God has made you to be. And as you do that, you will know that there's a plan of God concerning your life. You are unique. You are a special species. God have created you with all that he has. And I want to let you know, learn to appreciate that who God has made you to be. You are a man of value, and I want to tell you, learn that every action there is an equal opportunity respond. Every action you take, there is an equal response to it. So when you take action, always know that there is going to be a consequence. Learn not to worry much, because worry will not solve any problem. Worry does not solve any problem. You see, somebody that worry is like what faith is. When you have faith, you trust God and believe on. When you worry, you have disbelief and you can't move on. Worry make you sweat. Even when you are not running, you are just a rocking chair, you are not making any progress. So learn not to worry. Be careful for nothing. And one of the things that will make you not to worry is learn to think positively. There is a book I wrote some years ago, Living Positive in a Negative World. Every time around you see negative news, negative this, negative that, and everything that surrounds us sound negative. But I want to tell you something. Don't worry. I let you know, worry cannot solve any problem. Worry cannot solve any problem. It is very important. So one of the ways to avert worry is to think positively. And what I will advise you today is that learn to think well. Think positively. Think of what is good. Think of what is lovely. Think of what is of good report. Think on good things. Take good thought. Be deliberate about your thought. Don't dwell on the things that you don't have. Don't dwell on those things that push you down. Don't dwell on the things that make you have depression. It's this worry that make people and most of the things we worry about never come to pass. And most times it's the thing this worry that make people go into committing suicide. Worry that make people, you already form a picture. The enemy already give you a picture in your mind. Oh, people will shame you. This is what is going to happen. I remember a young girl that worry and kill herself just last month here. Why? Commit suicide because a lecturer will always fail her. I tell you something. Those obstacles that the enemy has put on your way, they can become a stepping stone. I like this thing, the Bible verse that always say, all things work together for good to them that love God and to them that are called according to his purpose. I want to let you know today, you can make it. Put worry aside. Worry does not help anybody. Worry will make you depressed. Worry will not bring out the best. Learn to put words into action. It's very important. Learn to put words into action, because a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Learn. Don't stop worrying. Put your word, put action to your word. A lot of us, we take note, we hear, you are listening to me right now, you are hearing, you don't act on it. And until you act on it, you are like a man that doctor said, if you eat this food, you will not die. And they told you have just 3 minutes to live, or 5 or 10 minutes or 15 minutes to live. But they gave you food and said, eat this food now, and you will not die. You say, oh, I believe that if I eat this food, I will not die. I tell you something, the food can be in your front. If you don't eat it within the time stipulated, you can die, even with everything to help you in front. That is how worry is. Let's cast away worry. Let's believe God and trust him for the best of our life. It doesn't matter the economic situation we find ourselves today. I tell you something, no matter the economy of the jungle, lion does not eat grass. I tell you, lion doesn't eat grass, and I want to tell you, you can make it, you can succeed. Always know the word impossibility is not part of God's plan. It doesn't matter. That word impossible is just impossible to you, but with God, all things are possible. Let's drop away worry today. And one last word I will want to tell you. this month, this day before I leave the studio, is the worst prison in this, the worst prison in this world is a home without peace. So as much as you can, live in peace with all men, with your wife, your husband, with your colleagues in your office. Live in peace. The worst prison in this world is a home or a place of work without peace. Be careful who you marry. You know, be careful who you marry. All fail, you know, before you fall in love. All failed marriage start from not understanding how you love to, you know, dwell together with wisdom and knowledge. So be careful. The worst prison in this world is a place where there is no peace. I want to say we love you, and until I see you again in our next edition, this is Simon and Semota saying you can make it. God bless you. Thank you for being a part of this edition.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Africa show. Now on Monday, December 2nd, 2024, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, secured the final forfeiture of an expansive estate in Abuja. The estate, situated on plot 109 Cadastral Zone C09, Lokogoma District, spans 150,500 square meters and comprises 753 duplexes and apartments. Now, Justice Jude Owegweze of the Federal High Court ruled that the properties suspected to have been acquired with proceeds of unlawful activities be forfeited to the federal government. The forfeiture was made possible under Section 17 of the Advanced Free Fraud and Other Fraudulent-Related Offences Act 2006 and the Section 44 subsection 2B of the 1999 Constitution. The EFCC had earlier secured an interim forfeiture order for the estate on November 1st, 2024. Today on the Good Morning Africa show, we'll be looking at the seized 753 duplex. We'll also like to hear from stakeholders. They have condemned the fraud in the real estate sector. I have an expert with me in the built environment in the studio in person of Town Planner Morenike Babalola, FNITP, and together we'll be having this conversation.
This is more than just a trophy. It is a symbol of excellence in African housing. Who will take home the next one? From groundbreaking developers to inspiring projects, prop tech, renewable energy, innovative building materials, the African Housing Awards is here again with its 6th edition, and it is your chance to recognize the best in the industry. So head on to www.africanhousingawards.com/nominate and make sure your voice is heard. The Africa Housing Awards, where your nomination make champions.
So having this conversation with me here is an expert in the built environment in person of Town Planner Morenike Babalola, FNITP. Together we'll be having this conversation together. You're highly welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you.
The seized 753 duplex, everybody's talking about it, is in the news. You know, on my way coming to work this morning, somebody said something like, how can, you know, one person just you know, embezzle this money and go build a massive mansion like that? You know, everybody have their own opinions and views concerning this particular topic. But coming from an expert, what is your overview on this particular matter?
Housing actually is a problem in Nigeria. That means we lack adequate housing. There is high deficit number of housing, and the most people, particularly the poor people, they are not properly housed. So you have deficit in housing, poor standard of living, and then the condition of living of the poor, they are not even adequate. To now see somebody at the top of affairs who had everything at his beck and cons, now having 753 housing units and other apartments, which has not been quantified. I would think this is an extreme greedy, extreme wickedness, and people without conscience. You know, people forget that this, whatever we gather today, tomorrow you don't know who will actually inherit it. Maybe it's a fool or somebody who will maintain it. Nothing goes for generations. Particularly when something is stolen, it does not endure. So that is the way I see it, and I think it's quite the high point of wickedness in the society.
Well, let's look at now the real estate sector, okay? And most times when we have these fraudulent activities from, you know, people from the top, we get to find out that they invest most of these embezzled funds in the real estate sector. I mean, why is the real estate sector so prone to fraudulent activities?
Real estate prone to fraudulent activities? I may not take that as all. It may be some of them are prone to it.
Okay.
All real estate developers, they are not fraudsters. But we have some elements, as it is in the general society, so also in the real estate developers. So you can have some of them that actually, but why it becomes so easy for these fraudsters to use the real estate, but because in Nigeria we don't have proper records. Most of the properties are unregistered. And where you don't have proper records, it is difficult for you to actually know what is going on in that particular sector. The other aspect is that is the ability of people, particularly those who need housing, to be able to get it. Is becoming difficult every day. But money carries everything in Nigeria. They have the money, they move into it and do it. Some of these documents they use, not in this particular one.
Okay.
This one may be a genuine document. It may be registered. But the modalities of acquiring and building these 753 units and other apartments may also be legal. But the important is the source of the income is where the problem is. And this is why I think that these are used in the real estate. You know, we actually finding it difficult. The people that are being caught in these illegal activities, what are the legal actions being taken against them?
Okay, so I was even going to come to that. I beg your pardon. You know, we need to talk about, you know, the legal action that should be placed on such a person when he or she is being caught. But back to what you spoke about, you know, regulation. I will just sum it up under regulation.
Okay.
You know, you spoke about it's possible that these documents are even genuine, or it's possible that, you know, the due registration that is supposed to be carried out before, you know, having that structure was not even carried out properly. But then we also have, you know, a news coming out that is saying that the company that was used, you know, in registering that property, the owner does not even know his company was used in the first place.
That's part of the fraudulent we're talking about. If you take another person's company to register for something, it's fraudulent. It's stealing. It's lying. It's dishonest. And what is the society doing against those people? Most of the time, this forfeiture may be okay, but they need more sanctions. Because without adequate sanctions, apart from forfeiting this thing, there should be court judgment. The issue of plea bargaining and so on should not even exist. If you are committed an offense and you do it, but unfortunately, do we have the political will?
That's a big question.
Do we have the political will to do these things? I think that is the area we need to also concentrate on. Thank God for this particular issue that comes up at how many have been confiscated in the past. Up to now, we don't know whether there was plea bargaining and some of them have been returned to them. But this one we are seeing, from my own point of view, I think government has tried. EFCC have tried. Now the onus lie on the implementation of these recovery materials. How do we get it implemented to the extent that people will not benefit, take over their things that have been stolen by these people?
Okay, so I want to seek your view on this as an expert in the built environment. Now this property has been forfeited, you know, and generally we all know it goes to the federal government.
Yes.
Do you think that the federal government will be able to handle, you know, this property well? And also, do you think that it will be used by the federal government judiciously in terms of, you know, the housing deficit that we have in our country at the moment?
The issue of forfeiture, you know, the longer it takes, we talk about lack of political will. If today there is a change of government, the situation may change. So what I will advise that government should do, apart from this thing has been, immediately, I'm aware there is a unit under the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation that actually deal with the recovery and management of forfeited assets.
Yes.
So if that thing is there, if that unit is there, the real estate department activities of the advocates, they should now see how they can liaise with these people. With the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, the government has what we call Renew Hope in housing.
Yes.
And if we are calculate by calculation, 753 housing units, it's already 3 estates. So, but unfortunately, the quality of the buildings that are built is not for the poor. Now, the poor may not be able to access it, but government can do due diligence by looking at the cadres of workers in their different ministries, particularly the ministry, because I know many ministry workers, they may not be able to afford accommodation of their own. What I will actually, because I would have preferred it be diverted to social housing, but we cannot get the money within a short time. So that using the money as a seed fund for social housing may be difficult. Because there's a tendency that if this thing is bought back, if this thing is staying in the market for long, there will be buyback syndrome. That means those people that we don't want them to have the assets, they may go using another company to buy them. So my suggestion in this particular is whether, and I think government can do it. One, they should look at the high-cadre workers. There are 753. I'm not talking about politicians. I'm sorry to say this one. But the people that have spent 30, 35, 25, they have been on this system for a long time, and yet they cannot have a place they call their home. They should identify them, allocate it to them immediately with necessary papers and documentations. So if they can have it, then the issue of coming back, maybe another government, and there's a need to change over, will not arise. Already the document have been, the properties have been scattered. Then the other aspect is that we understand that the government is planning to build houses for the judges. I think this is an opportunity. The money for the judges can be used as a seed fund for the social housing. Why these houses that are there can be allocated, because the standard is high. It's not just anybody that can maintain those houses. So I will suggest that those houses go back to these judges, while the money, because this is a lump sum money now that can be easily accessed for social housing. So the real estate advocates should not sit on their oars. They should work hand in hand with Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, the Attorney General of the Federation, or the unit under which this official is being managed. Then they should also work with Federal Mortgage Bank, because it's in FCT. We also have Abuja Investment Company, and then we have the FHA. They should work with all these things, set up a committee, see how this thing can be dispensed immediately, because the longer it is, the more dangerous it is, so that we don't lose them. We are not oblivious that also there are still apartments. We also advise that all what we are doing now, we have not been able to actually go down, make proper assessment of this, that there will be a need to go down to that side, look at them one by one, see the extent, what are these apartments, what is the number, what is the area. We need to know them, because other apartments can be 100. Other apartment can be 1 million.
So meaning that
we need proper assessment,
yes.
Physical assessment.
Because it could be more than 753.
It could be more, it could not be more. And then if there are records of approval, records of land registration of these properties, I'm sure EFCC will have got all of them. These housing operators, they should check them properly to be sure that these documents are properly utilized for the advancement of Nigerians. Not just I'm not talking of the business people, they have their own money, but I'm talking of people who will have unable to get access to this type of property.
Thank you so much for giving us that, a very thoughtful advice concerning this particular issue. Now let's look at you, because you asked a very serious issue about the legal actions that should be taken against, people that are found wanting in such. So I would like to hear your overview on that. What do you think should be the proper punishment, when one is being caught in such a very disturbing crime? Because, 753 duplexes is not a joke, for crying out loud. At all, it's not a joke.
I think from what we have, particularly in some of our legal and police or whatever they are, all this sort of, they have their own punishment for these misbehaviors or misconduct. I think they should go into it and implement them to the fullest, because we've had, very soon now, they will disappear in this country, move to another country, be enjoying the loot. There are still more. If there are other things to be recovered, it should be totally recovered. This nation is bleeding. Bleeding from these distrusted people that are put in places of authority, who are there to steal and make the country without considering the poor masses that are dying. And the integrity of people that are put in places of authority should be thoroughly investigated. Because when you put a thief, I was reading a comment that this man did not start from a central bank. He would have started it from Zenith Bank. So the antecedent of all these people that are placed in our places of authority should be thoroughly checked.
So we've had, stories right from yesterday till this point, as to not even knowing or revealing the true owners of these properties. So most of the news coming out saying that this property is being owned by, the former CBN governor, which is Godwin Emefiele. It's still, it's still an allegation, So, well, I don't know who came up with that, that that line of thought to attribute that property to him. But then so far we've seen news stories. We also know that the EFCC also explained why they won't be revealing the owners of that seized property. So let's look at regulations in the real estate sector. Do you think there is, a proper and structured, should I call it an organization or a commission, to regulate this, to regulate the real estate sector in Nigeria?
The real estate sector, from my own point of view, should be regulated. Who is coming in and who is going out? It's not a jack of all trades. You may have your money, because what I noticed that even the contractors, they are there. This is there. What is the standard do we want in the real estate? Who are the people we want? Once somebody has money, it becomes a developer. How he gets the money, nobody cares
to know.
So these are issues that need to be investigated. Somebody will go to site, enter another person's property without due diligence, started selling land. Is that a developer or a land seller? So the real estate operators should check themselves. The real estate, they should check themselves and see how they can coordinate the activities of their members. I think what they see is that once you have land in Abuja, you have land in Port Harcourt, you have land in Lagos, you're an instant billionaire. Everybody wants to go into real estate without integrity. Everybody wants to go into real estate without due diligence and making millions to cry. Millions to cry because you will sell land today instead of building the house. They will also invite them to build. When the authority comes, demolish it, they fly. What you see is nobody, but the people that are being asked to enter into their property, they become the one that bear the brunt. So we need to regulate it. Thorough regulation and proper leadership also, who are actually conversant with the acts of development. Not just we come in, we have all the distance. The money should not guide who should be a developer. A developer should be people who are professionally ready to do due diligence and put the integrity of professionalism in doing their work.
Thank you so much, Town Planner Morenike Babalola, for giving us that very good insight and also advice concerning the regulation in the real estate sector. So before we call it a wrap on this particular discussion, because we have, other stakeholders' reactions concerning this particular issue, what would you advise the government to do in terms of, utilizing this seized 753 duplex properly, and also, make people that are really in need, their need of shelter, to have access to this particular property?
If you define people who are really in need of shelter, that the urban poor,
of course,
who have no accommodation, but the standard, the size of these houses are too big for them to manage. So that is why I'm recommending that government officials who might have put up to 25 and above years in their service, maybe level 15 and above, though if you go through affordability table, they may not be able to afford. Government can subsidize it for them. But the money that is being accrued from this thing can now be used to commence social housing. Just like I said, if the Ministry of Justice, if they can use their money to purchase part of this house and use that money as seed fund for social housing. Of course, social housing, In those days, we used to have in each state of the federation what we call housing development authorities, where we have a feature at the federal. If this group can be used, it will be okay for them to be able to get this social housing. Otherwise, we have so many parastatals, so many doing the same thing. I would have recommended that maybe we start with social housing. But this again can still be in government or under the government purview, and then implementation will just be as done like that.
It was a pleasure having you on the Good Morning Africa show. Thank you so much, ma'am, for stopping by. Despite your busy schedule, we're able to pull you here. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So the conversation, or rather the Good Morning Africa show, continues. We also have reactions from other stakeholders in the housing industry concerning the seized 753 duplex. Don't go anywhere. The Good Morning Africa show will be right back. Stay with us. That was a very interesting conversation with our guest town planner Morenike Babalola, FNITP, on the seized 753 duplex. The Good Morning Africa show continues, but let's go on this short break. We also have another stakeholder on standby to share his own view concerning the matter at hand. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the Good Morning Africa show on Housing TV Africa. Still having the conversation on the seized 753 duplex. Another stakeholder, a well-known stakeholder in the built environment, in person of Dr. Aliyu Wamako. He happens to be the chairman and chief executive officer of Jedo Investment Company, and also the past president of the Real Estate Development Association of Nigeria, REDAN. He shares his view on this particular matter at hand at his office. Let's take a watch.
First, we welcome the ruling by the Higher Court that we believe whatever is missing, justice can find it out. And it's in the tempo of this that when I was the president of REDAN last year, I tried to promote and sponsor a bill to the National Assembly. This bill is aimed at promoting, good administrative business in the real estate. At least people in the real estate sector are supposed to be known. Most especially Nigeria, as part of the Financial Action Task Force globally, we are expected, we have about 80% of our money laundering into real estate. And it is because of this, we held a meeting in London, I could remember, September 2003, and we tried to make sure that at least we promote the issue of transparency in the business of real estate. And the only thing is for us to have a law regulating us. And that is why we sponsored the bill, Real Estate Regulatory Council of Nigeria, Bill 2023. And successfully it passes the 9th Assembly. We have to congratulate and thank the President, Chief of Staff to the President, because it is under his armpit, the bill passed. We equally have to congratulate and thank Distinguished Senator Ahmed Lawal, who was the president of the Senate then, for doing a good job, because they have Nigerians at heart, and they were able to pass this bill. This bill is aimed at curbing the fraudulent practice in the real estate. This bill extends to give efficient and effective monitoring and services to the regulators and the practice and the people practicing in the real estate. You see, had this bill been assent by the president, it means that anybody who is to become a player in the real estate must be known. All the directors behind his company must be known. The government will be aware of who is who in the real estate business. And a lot of revenue will even come to the government. And that is why we promoted this bill, because we know the bill aims at least curbing the situations in the real estate that are ugly to the populations of Nigerians. And now that the present administration maybe is aiming at curtailing this, we still urge them to look into that bill and assent. The president shall assent to that bill, because it will assist the NFIU, National Financial Intelligence Unit, the SCUMO arm of the EFCC, and all other financial regulators in Nigeria, because money laundering is a disease in the country, and we must eliminate it. And the only way out to eliminate it is, as it is happening much more in the real estate. Yesterday's ruling is a testimony to that. 756 units of duplexes in the real, in somebody, a civil servant, owned by him. So many of them are in this town. When we were passing that bill, believe me sincerely, Memuna, a lot of people in the real estate industry has contributed money to stop and jettison that bill from the National Assembly. We know them, and we know who they are. They are still operators in the real estate. And we believe one day, every day is for the owner, for the thief. One day is for the owner. And if the government didn't sign this bill, believe me sincerely, a lot of malpractice that is happening, and the government looting will never stop. It will continue, because when you stole money, the only place to hide it is you go to the land and hide that money. So that ruling is apt, and we commended the judiciary for doing that. But we are also appealing to the president to look into this and assent to that bill, because it will give regulations. It's only in Nigeria that we have people operating in the real estate business without regulation. So we kindly ask the president to assent to this bill. It's people's bills, and we believe he is for the people. That is exactly what I'm saying. This is the right thing that can happen to Nigerians. Already we have a renewed hope housing initiative, which is being championed by architect Musa Dangiwa, who is the current Minister of Housing in Nigeria. I believe this will assist him tremendously. These houses can go to the civil servant at a discounted rate, because it's as good as free. This is our money. So it's a tip that is being caught, and we think the Nigerians shall benefit from it. These houses shall immediately be handed over to the Minister of Housing, so that it is for onward distribution to the civil servant and teeming population of Nigerians at a discounted rate. That is, I think, the best way to use these houses. No any other way than that. I believe me sincerely, if there is no regulation in the housing sector, there is nothing that can carve out this fraudulent practice, this ineffectiveness, inefficiency, rough administration of what is happening in the real estate sector. The bill we pass, it has encompasses everybody as a stakeholder in the real estate. All the state commissioners, it has 63 members, council members. All the state commissioners are there. All the professional in the built industry are there. All the regulatories in the built industry and the financial regulatories are there. EFCCI, NFIU, Standard Organizations of Nigeria, Central Bank, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. All of them are there as part of the council members of this real estate. And what it means is that at least before you operate as a real estate developer, you must possess certain qualifications, qualities, and also you must be known to the government. Henceforth, any estate that is not having a signage should be seized, because the man is using it as, a money laundering surrogate. So we believe the only way out for us to regulate the housing industry is by assenting to the bill that we sent. That bill has taken care of everything. It will provide effective and efficient regulations, and also promote good administration of the real estate business in the country.
As Nigerians' housing deficit increases on a daily, we hope that the federal government will make use of the seized property to give access to affordable housing for the low-income earners. Thank you so much for watching the Good Morning Africa show on Housing TV Africa. On this note, we call it a wrap. You can watch this episode and also subsequent episodes by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Housing TV Africa. You can also follow Housing TV Africa on all social media platforms. Do not forget to download the Housing TV Africa mobile app on Google Play Store and Apple Store to stay connected wherever you go. I am Maimuna Bagudu. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
Join us on a captivating experience through the dynamic world of town planning in Nigeria as we delve into the visionary projects and insights of top experts, witnessing the remarkable transformation of spaces into extraordinary communities. Immerse yourself in engaging discussions with leading town planning professionals as they address critical issues and offer innovative solutions to empower communities. Experience the pulse of the cities of tomorrow on City Pulse, a weekly television program presented by the National Institute of Town Planners. Gain exclusive behind-the-scenes looks and discover groundbreaking strategies shaping the urban landscape. Don't miss a beat. Showing weekly on Housing TV Africa. Star Times Channel 149.
Welcome to Trending Housing News.
When the city